Good evening. My name is Amy Demboski, and I'm here tonight to speak to you as the president of the Chugiak Community Council. On April 19th of this year, the Chugiak Community Council unanimously passed a resolution in support of this exact idea. And the reason being, it's because what Mr. Neese alluded to, we recognize that our Chugiak Eagle River representation on this board that spends nearly $850 million a year was not going to be there anymore. Our community of taxpayers, our assembly district is almost 54,000 people. There's a lot of taxpayers in that, and we believe we deserve a voice on a board that spends almost twice as much as the city of Anchorage. Now, that doesn't even include the $1 billion of bond indebtedness on the school board. So this is really an issue about representation and accountability. And the reason I say accountability is because, to put it nicely, I never see any school board members at my community council meeting, ever. I take that back. I did see somebody once when they were asking for money for a bond. That's it. Now, I do go to the other 5 community council meetings in my area. Not always, but I do. And the only time I ever see school board members there is when they're running for office or when they're asking for more money. So to me, it's about accountability. Our schools are not doing well. We spend $200 million more than we did 10 years ago. We have fewer students, worse results. For what? And we're spending more money. It doesn't make sense. So it's time that people in my community, we're asking for a voice. We don't have anybody on the school board. And it's about accountability, it's about responsibility, but it's also about priorities, because whether we choose to admit it or not, somebody from Chugiak Eagle River they're not going to have the same priorities as somebody from West Anchorage. It's just a fact. We look at things differently because we're different areas. Chugiak Eagle River does not want to be part of Anchorage. I hate to break it to you, but we don't. We like our independence. We like our values. We do things differently. And because of that, we think that we deserve a voice on a board that spends nearly $850 million a year. It's a basic idea. It's not about politics. It's about accountability and representation. It's very simple. And I just would like to point out, too, I'm sure you've seen the email, but the South Fork Community Council has also passed a resolution in support of this measure. So for us, whether you pass this tonight or whether you don't, the only reason you wouldn't is because, once again, government is getting in the way of accountability. That's it. Plain and simple. We want to force accountability and we want representation. The only reason you would vote against this is to block that. And I think the residents of Chugiak Eagle River deserve better.
Ms. Drummond.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Ms. Demboski, for coming and speaking. I'm curious, have you filed a letter of intent to run for assembly?
Yes.
Why aren't you running for the school board if your community is so upset about not having representation?
Well, it's pretty simple. I think this school board's broken. I don't think it can be fixed from within, to be honest. I think as citizens, we need to force accountability and responsibility. And I think outside of the school board, whether it's a citizens initiative or whether it's on the assembly, I think it's going to take a strong voice to say, you know what, you're not okay. You're not doing things okay. My kids deserve better. My 4th grader, when he finished with S's and O's at the end of the semester, and I got his SBAs 3 weeks after school stopped, he tested at a 2nd grade level. That's pathetic. And you know what? So, yes, absolutely. And before I filed my letter of intent to run for the school board back in April, when this came up, it was my community council that came forward and said, you know what? We as taxpayers deserve a voice. It's about representation. There's a reason we have house districts. There's a reason we even have community councils throughout our community. They're a lower level of government.
Ms. Demboski, you're getting frantic. It's quite all right. I didn't expect that much of an answer. Mr. Chair, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. There are no other questions.
Thank you.
Anyone else?